One of the most profound habits I found in all of us is clinging to past. Many of the psychologist friends of mine and the many of the behavioral consultants, I have discussed this issue with them in detail, and I found that most of them feel and unanimously agree that there is a lot about can be told or said about your present behavior or response if you dwells upon your past. Delving into the past can tell at some extent your response in the present scenario. My friend, if you are a perfectionist or a constant, you need a constant approval. You are a constant approval seeker, I would say. It is simply because your parents never said you were good enough when you were a child and growing up. If you operate above the rules and fed that you can do no wrong, it's because your parents, they doted on you and inflicted your importance. If you freeze around authority figure, it is because you had a controlling mother, I would say, and so on. There are many things you can talk, and that school is on a permanent recess now. I do not have much patience, my friend, with theory that clinging to the past is because of going backward is not about creating change. It's about simply understanding. Don't get me wrong. As far as I'm concerned, I feel very strongly that clinging to the past is a negative habit. It's a bad habit. We must try everything to remain in present and stop clinging to the past. There is nothing wrong with understanding. Understanding the past is perfectly admissible. If your issue is accepting the past, as long as you're accepting the past, taking the right lessons and moving on, I think then understanding the past is perfectly fine. But if your issue is changing the future, understanding will not take you there anywhere. My experience tells me that the only effective approach is looking people in the eye and saying, if you want to change, do this, follow this contemporary world existing methods. But even with the blunt talk, I found people who cling to the past, who want to understand why they are not the way they are, remain my uh, toughest, I think, friends to convinced about the theory which I follow. They can't change it or rewrite their past or make excuses for it. All they can do or we can do is to accept it and move on. Don't cling on to that. But for some reason, many people enjoy living in the past, especially if going back there lets them blame someone else for anything that's gone wrong in their lives. That's when clinging to the past becomes an important interpersonal problem. We use the past as a weapon against others, blaming others for our failures. We also cling on to the past as a way of contrasting it with the present, usually to highlighting something positive about ourselves at the expense of someone else. My friend, do you ever find yourself beginning a long serving story with the phrase, when I was of your age? We very often do it. In fact, you don't miss an opportunity whenever you are sermonizing or preaching the youngsters that when I was of your age. What's really going on here? When we make excuses, we are blaming someone else or something beyond our control as the reason for our failure. Anyone but ourselves. We sometimes blame other people not as an excuse for our failure, but as a subtle way of highlighting our success. It's no more attractive than giving excuses, I think. But we usually require a really smart person whom we can point out our failures. I learned this long time back from my daughter Zara. She was about, I think, 9 years old then, and I was posted in Vijayawada. And one day, annoyed over something, I come back home, and I took my annoyance on Zara. I trotted out my all kind of sermons on her and long speech, or like any parent can give it to their child. And one began with the normal course, like when I was your age. Inevitably, it's a self-pitying lecture that points out how difficult and miserable my childhood was, or the parents' childhood was, in a comparison to the childhood the parents now providing for his or her children. And I started yammering about giving up all this when I was a child. I didn't have money. I didn't have the kind of luxuries she is enjoying. And I was describing in a first person and how I finished my education, how I got into the army. All these things I just continued. She kept on looking at me very coolly, and then suddenly she said, she patiently actually listened to my all diatribe and instinctively letting me vent. And when I finished, she said, Papa, it's not my fault you make money. And then stopped me in my tracks. I suddenly realized that she's right. How could I expect her to know what it's like to be poor when I was damn sure she never would be? I chose to work hard and make money. I gave her the best of the living and as per my affordability. In effect, I was bragging about how hard I had it and how clever I was to have triumphed over such great adversity, and making that boasting by dumping my frustration on my own child. Fortunately, she called me on it and put me wise, explained me very correctly. My friend, stop blaming others for the choices you made or you make, and that goes with the double emphasis for the choices that turned out well. My friend, clinging to the past is I would say it's a negative habit. Past is only meant, as I said, to accepting the past, taking the right lessons, and reminiscing the good memories. That's it. And then getting out of it, never clinging to it. Thank you very much.